Hello everyone and welcome along today. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're having a really good time at Spark Accelerate. It's been wonderful to be here. I've really enjoyed some of the keynote speakers and hopefully ours is just going to embed a bit more of the learning around that. So we're here to talk today about Agentic AI and how that is in the customer interaction and how you can strike that balance with trust while automating for your customers. I'm Amanda Springerveld and I am a Spark consultant for contact centre. I have worked at Spark now for 3 years, but I've been in and around contact centres pretty much my entire working adult life. So a long history of contact centres. And this is my colleague, Jon.
Hi everyone, I'm Jon Koch and I'm a product consultant in contact centres as well. So I've been around contact centres and customer experience probably a little longer than Amanda, quite a bit longer than Amanda. And so I've seen the technology involved, and it's a really exciting time at the moment where things are just getting exponentially faster and faster. So really good time to come and talk about things like Agentic AI and how that's evolving. Let's ask a question. So we hear this Agentic AI words bandied all around. It's like old McDonald's farm, AI. And so who knows what Agentic AI is? Hands up. Who's not so sure? Great. So basically what Agentic AI is giving AI autonomy, the ability to do things in your place, giving it agency to be able to deliver services without human intervention. So like the traditional way that people might explain that is, your self-driving car. It's driving you from A to B, you're not doing anything, you're in the back seat, there's no Uber driver anymore. But if we think about, the AI and what we've had over the last few years, there's been different types of AI. There was a lot of generative AI early. Now we're using that every day in every walk of life. So if we thought about this presentation, if I got AI to build the presentation pack that we're showing today, that's an example of generative AI because, it's generating that PowerPoint for me. If we were talking about this presentation in the context of Agentic AI, Amanda and I would be down on the front seat watching this, and the AI would be delivering.
For me.
It would be way more comfortable for us to do that, exactly. So that's the difference. So allowing autonomy and agency to be able to happen. If you look at all these headlines here, there's a lot of stuff around AI gone wrong. It's where customers have built an AI solution, they've put it in front of their customers, and they found themselves in the paper. So when we think about delivering AI to our customers, who's a little bit scared of this type of press happening to you? Yeah, you would be, right? So what we're here to do is talk about how we might deliver AI that, gives you some, ideas about how to deliver it well, what's coming in the future, and give you a little bit of confidence about how we can deploy that in a way that's not going to get you in the papers.
Yeah. So we've told you about all the scary stuff, right? But with risk, there's also reward. So what are some of the rewards and how do we do this, in a way that is going to continue to build that trust? Well, your customers are saying that they believe that you using AI as a business is actually going to improve your quality and speed of service. That's great. That's telling you they know it's coming, they're ready for it, and they want you to do it well. On the other side, though, we've got them saying, if you do it wrong, we're going to leave. If you don't give me the experience that I want, 56% of your customers are going to go without even telling you that something was wrong. And that's a lot to handle. You don't want that, and you've got to figure out a way to do that safely. You need to maintain that trust that you're the good brand. And customers' expectations are rising, right? Everyone's had to play with a ChatGPT. They know that if they plug a question in, they're going to get an answer. And that's great. And we all have this really great experience where it talks to us and it's friendly and it just feels like a human. And why wouldn't you want that? That's what we now expect in our chatbots and our voice bots from our customer service centres. But the reality is that the ChatGPTs of the world don't care about if they get it right. They only care that they give an answer. That's their goal. They want to be right. But they're also like, hey, I'm AI, don't worry about it. If I'm wrong, I made this up. So you can't put that in front of a customer. So how do you do it safely to make sure that you're getting the right source of truth for your customers? They've come to you as a business, they want the truth from you. They don't want to go and fact check you, the provider. So it's a lot, and there's a lot to carry while being in the race to be the first out the gate with the AI, with the biggest and best and greatest. So why would you put Agentic AI in the customer experience? Well, there's a lot of reasons that you'd want to do it. You've got a lot of different pressures on you. And one of the cool things about the customer experience is it is ingrained in your contact center. Customer experience is now what you call a contact center. Call the customer experience center. So they know that you are the place to go for that service, to get their issues resolved. The bar is rising from these customers, though. They want more quality and more time. And the contact center is a highly measured place. You've got loads of data, lots of KPIs against it and how they achieve. It's really measured and it's tested time and time again. Contact centers also have a lot of problems to solve. So there is a good place and opportunity to start with AI in this space. So some of these things you want to do, but you want to navigate that with the human interaction. And there's a lot of ways that you can look at that. But the demands that you're getting from your customers now is those expectations we talked about. We know they're high. But they're not just high in terms of giving me faster or quality. They're also saying, I want you to show up and meet me where I am and on my terms for what I need, because AI is going to allow you to do that. They want 24/7 service. You know, I was talking to a friend just yesterday and she's like, AI is solving so much. We grew up in the contact center together. And she's like, the stuff that I used to do, I just can, you can call AI and it'll do it for me at 10 at night when the contact center's closed. And the customers want this. So how do we deliver that? They also want that self-service. There's a few different ways that you need to, that you want to measure and, that you want to work on this challenge. Like, if they want self-service, some people don't want to talk to people. They want to do it themselves. They're really motivated to engage with your AI. And you also have agents doing work that's highly repetitive, that isn't worthy of the great skill sets that they have. You want to use them in other places. So there's loads of benefits to having this AI for your customers and your agents. You also have other demands in your business, like legal demands, things such as consistency, needing for, giving that same service so it's not clunky, like you don't get one agent and then the next agent getting a different experience. You also have legal requirements such as compliance. What are you doing? Are you giving the right terms and conditions? Are you giving the right information? Because all of that matters. And AI can help solve some of these. You also have the shareholder demands. Stakeholders, shareholders, they all want you to do everything, more for less, more for less. Well, you don't want you to escalate those operating costs. In fact, they want you to save those operating costs. So AI can help solve some of these solutions for you. So there's great reward here if you go for it. But then how do we balance this? How do we do this how do we gain that trust while automating? And how do we do this without that exponential cost increase? Do we go bold? Do we go fast? Do we go slow? There are tried and tested ways, and we're going to talk to you a bit about some of the experiences that we have in this space. So where do you start? Well, always look to your policies. We've heard on the keynote speakers today, data, privacy, keep it secure. Your people trust you. Your customers trust you to keep their data safe. We have loads. You have a responsibility to look after it and protect them. So make sure that you're looking at your AI policy as well and checking that you're going to work within the guidelines. Is your tech and things going to help and work in those spaces? If you don't have an AI policy, you need to get one, just like Woody said. If you don't got one, get one. Start there. And then let the other policies you have around data and privacy anchor you into any AI project you have. The data policy, the privacy policy, your AI policy, they're all about how you work in a safe and trusted way with all of the data, making sure that you're not going to do anything to expose your brand or your customers' private data, and that helps continue trust. Let it anchor and guide your future policies. All right, so after you've done that, you'd probably able to start an AI journey, that's the word, sorry guys. So Jon, how could we do that?
Yeah, so let's look at a few of the touch points that might be available to you in a contact center platform these days. So there are many, but let's have a little look at some of the ones that are coming out. And what we're seeing in the contact center platforms is that the AI capabilities are just getting faster and coming out quicker and quicker. So there's more and more stuff coming out all the time. I think one of the vendors I'm looking at the moment, there is a 96-page PowerPoint on their AI capabilities and roadmap. So if you're ready to come and talk to me about that one, come along and we can spend 3 hours doing that one. But let's just talk about it in some general terms. So we have assistive technologies that are available and are AI generated, or agentic in fact. So we have co-pilots, and no, it's not a brand anymore. Co-pilot is turned into a noun for assistive technology for people in your contact center. And so those are the people like your agents, your supervisors, your administrators. And so if we think about something like Agent Copilot as a capability, it does a whole lot of things. It might prompt an agent through a process in real time. It might gather the information that they need to collect that to do a fulfillment of that process. It might, in real time, surface knowledge to the agent so that they are informed. And that brings things like, speeds up the time to competency in terms of your training of your agents and things like that. And at the end of it all, it might even do things like checklists to make sure you're ticking off all the compliance things that you need to do in a conversation. And it might do summarization. So that whole conversation is summarized and you can put it into the CRM. And that lets your agent become more present in that conversation and not trying to take notes at the same time. And we see lots and lots of organizations maybe not doing all these things at once, but doing point solutions or parts of these agent co-pilot journeys. Summarization is very popular in terms of being able to have an ROI on after call time and things like that. So those are the things that are all targeted at agents. Then we have a bunch of stuff that is targeted at our supervisors and our quality managers. So these are there to help the people that manage your people on the front line. And if you think about quality management, just a hands up, who knows what quality management is in the contact center? There's about 2. Okay, so I might explain it. So quality management in the contact center is your personnel, your supervisors evaluating calls that are being received in the contact center. And it doesn't have to be phone calls, it can be digital interactions as well. And essentially, it's somebody with a headset on all day, listening to calls that your agents had with customers and scoring them on an evaluation check sheet depending on the things that the KPIs that you want to target your agents on. So were they cheerful? Did they say the compliance question? Did they upsell? Did they recommend a new product? All those sorts of things. And so that's what these poor people are doing all day. And in a contact center, you can cover 3% of all calls coming into the contact center is an amazing benchmark to be able to cover. But it's a minute piece of the pie of how many people are calling in. And so with things like Supervisor Copilot, we can score all those conversations by an agentic bot. So it's not the person with the headset anymore, it's a bot doing that agentically on its own, and we're just giving it the prompts to say, I want you to check this question and this is how you score it, and it'll do that for me automatically. And so if you think about the manpower it saves, but also the coverage that it gives you on the quality that you're delivering to your customers.
And that manpower can be redirected to more valuable things like coaching, reconnecting with your agents. There's lots of things that will enable by saving that time.
And the cool thing is that it doesn't need to cover just your physical agents, it can cover your virtual agents. So you have governance on what your virtual agents are doing as well. The other thing is Admin Copilot. Not moving?
I'll click
Thank
it.
you.
We have a clicker each, just so we're all here on the same page.
Yeah.
He can do his own clicking.
Sometimes I can. So Admin Copilot is obviously something that helps your administrator to look after your system. So it might do some anomaly detection. Why is your contact center blowing out? What's the root cause? What's going on? It'll alert you to it. It'll tell you how to do things if your administrator doesn't know it. And the platforms are so big these days that you kind of need a little helping hand. And then also, I guess, telling you what you're not using. So telling you about the features that you're paying for that you're not utilizing. So all those types of capabilities are coming.
What we're talking about is how you can do this while building trust, right? So all of this internal facing, agent assistive, human agent assistive, should I say, is operating with oversight, and it's keeping that human in the loop, and this is how you can help yourself stay out of those headlines, right? So those humans are using that agentic AI, and that's operating with the oversight from them. So while they're doing that, you're also able to do things like prove out your capabilities, test some ROI, get some, save some AHT here and some summarization there. You're able to build trust with your stakeholders, show them how the AI can help you in your contact center. So it's a lot to be gained from starting internally. It's also going to be giving you opportunity to get more data around pre-made use cases that your agents have been testing and testing and testing, because they're doing this all the time. And you can use that data in other ways. So it helps build up that rich data set as well. And it helps you refine your approach to adopting AI in your contact centers and your business. It's a really easy place to start to get some real good ROI. And the other thing is that while you're doing this, you are protecting your brand and your customer from all of those headlines we talked about. So how can we turn this experience and the confidence that we've gained from these trials into the agentic AI and the customer experience? How do you do that while building trust, maintaining trust, and staying away from those headlines? I keep going back to it, but that's what we all want, right? We want to save some money, we want to get some gains. Can we do that, Jon?
Of course we can. And so obviously we've got different touch points. So we've talked about our internal touch points, and if you think about what Amanda said there, our agents are our subject matter experts. They're the people that are watching those agentic bots that are facing inwards to the customer, those co-pilots, and they're helping to make sure that is being trained to the nth degree. So they provide all that feedback through maybe thousands and thousands of interactions. That might be a good point. When the agent is now just being guided, being the mouth point for the agent co-pilot that's doing most of the heavy lifting, we might want to turn that round into an interaction that we do put in front of the customer, because the agent is really just sitting there watching things happen.
They've done it with the best flow. They know, and that's going to be human because humans have done it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So where can we do it, and how can we push that out to our customer? So obviously the bots. So digital bots in our digital channels, so that's on our website, that's in our mobile app, that's in our social media channels, so WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger and Apple Business Messaging and all those types of things. So they're a really nice place to be able to put a bot in there, whether it's just for knowledge or intent routing to get it to the right team or self-service type situations. And I guess the next thing is, one thing that's not going away in a contact center is voice. Third click.
No, okay, I'll click it. Oh, now we've got two.
That's
okay.
good. So
tech failure and the tech
I think
summit.
the build-outs don't work with me. So voice bots, they're not going away, or voice calls. People calling into your contact center, that's still happening. We thought it would all disappear with digital. We'd move to digital, but we're still getting just as many calls as we always did. And so putting voice bots into that channel helps us to do some quite nice things. Allows us to direct to the right team, get first call resolution, understand what a customer's calling for. And what we see in these bots is there are different levels of bots, so we can employ them in different ways. So we can have our natural language understanding bots, which we've had for quite some time, and now we're seeing agentic bots as well, which are much more conversational and allow us to really have some backwards and forwards conversations and things like that. And the next thing we're also starting to see now is agentic email. So when we had email before, we could look for keywords and subject and things like that and route to a place. Now we're looking at essentially agentic AI that can understand the context of that email and respond to that email.
Yeah.
And so that's quite interesting. People say email is dead, but there are customers that have huge volumes of emails that come into their contacts.
Absolutely. So, how do we bring these into life we've got our tech, we've checked our policies, we've done some internal trials, we've gained a bit of trust, so we can build it now, Jon, can't we? We can just go and build our bot.
Yeah, we need to consider a few things first, I think.
Oh, no, really? Yeah. Okay. Well, Rome wasn't built in a day, hence my little Rome. But you do need to do things in steps, and so we're trying to give you some good ideas of how to, progress through some of this. And there's a lot. We're not going to get through it all today, but we just want to give you a good outline. So the next thing you need to do once you've checked your data, you're making sure you're working in safe and secure ways for your customers. You've found out there's a different AI technology you can use. What do you want to do now to get this into a production type of situation? Well, before you do that, the next thing you need to understand is, why are your customers contacting you? What are they telling you they need? Because these are where you're going to be able to obviously find those journeys that may be able to be automated. But you need to really understand why they're calling. So when I call somewhere and I say something like, I've lost my card, I'm not calling you to have a friendly chat about losing my card. I'm actually calling you for a reason behind that. And that reason varies. And even in that scenario, if I've lost my credit card, I might be wanting to pause my card, cancel my card, apply for a new one. I might be in a really stressful situation overseas and need to figure out how to get funds. There's lots of reasons behind the I lost my card, and you need to understand those reasons to be able to then make a journey for that. So once you've done that, how you do that is the next bit. So a lot of contact center tools now, because of all of the data that they have some great tools to mine that data. So dig into it and make sure you're not trusting your gut. You're going to have people saying, oh, we get loads of calls about refunds. Oh, we get loads of calls about a broken pipe on this road. There's loads of different reasons they'll ring. But the reality is that often your gut isn't always right. Like, your gut instinct is a lot, but when it comes to making decisions that are going to give you ROI, you need to make sure you've got that data-driven decision-making behind it. So mine the data, those rich data sets in contact center, all those transcriptions, all those agent journeys, they're all recorded. Find out why they're calling. So other part of that as well is that you need to understand what channel they're coming from, because that's going to tell you how you can automate and if you can automate as well, and understand the volumes of that as well, right? So once you've got that, why people are calling, how do you then select what to start with? Well, this is the bill price value irritation model, and if you've been to any of our contact center sessions,
we're quite keen on this one.
We love this. It's a really good way to help understand value in the conversations that you're having. And it's kind of good to take all those intents and start mapping them into this model. It gives you a really good understanding of what you can do and what you shouldn't do. So let me explain. So in the bottom corner here, where it's low value to you, the company, and low value to the customer, don't automate it. Don't even do it. Why have you got that? What are you doing in your business that is causing those people to call? Get rid of it. Do some root cause analysis. Find out. If you're sending a letter that's causing people to ring even though you actually want them to do something on the website, figure that root cause. Solve it. Don't send a letter to tell them to call you or just with a phone number and then tell them to go to the website. Examples like that. Get rid of them. So then we're looking now at things that are high value to your company but low value to the customer. These are the opportunities that you need to be more persuasive with your customer, and automation is not always the best ingredient here. You're trying to get a customer to do something for you that benefits you. So those are the things that you want to, take a bit of time and think about how you're going to do that. You may want to automate them in the future, but they're probably not a good start point.
You want to make it as simple for a customer to do something they're not particularly...
Exactly. Do you need them to update your contact details? You have a policy, you need to check those. You're not going to automate that with a customer. You need to make it easy, simplify it. Give them hey, we're just checking your details are right, and give them a bit more, control over that situation. These also are the moments where you continue to build trust with your customers. They want to speak to someone. They're usually calling in a high emotive situation. Examples, my credit card's lost. Well, I can say, well, I'm not going to automate that, but I will quickly give them some information to give them a bit of peace of mind while I'm putting them to the agent. So I might say, maybe you can go into the app and pause your credit card, but I'm not going to go do that and then, work out the rest online. Or, tell me some info and we'll do it. You're going to go, I'm going to get you through to an agent right now and we're going to sort that. Because those guys are emotional. They're driven, they're stressed, they're worried, they think something's going to happen. So you need to take that human interaction opportunity where you can get it and continue.
Or it could be, I want to invest $5 million in a growth fund, and you don't want to give that to a bot.
No, you don't, right? So those are those really good touch points where you just keep the human. So this leaves what is high value to the customer, but low value to the business. And there's a lot of opportunity here to automate. Your customers are more motivated in these situations, and it can be a little bit more transactional. So with some of our customers, we've found, they've got, 10% of their calls are about maybe lost property. Think of throwing an event like this. If you guys leave something behind, you guys want it. You desperately want your laptop back, but the company's not so invested in that, right? So you could probably automate a bit of that transaction, take the details, what have you lost, where do you need it sent to, and do some of that legwork. Those are the opportunities you can automate. You want to look for those ones and look for things with high volume in this space. When you've done that, you need to be ruthless about choosing what you can automate. So if you're going to automate something, do you have the ability to automate it? Should I automate it? Can I automate it? What next? And Jon's going to talk a little bit more about that later, but make sure you really scrutinize the data and the journeys. So you need to understand that journey before you automate it, to map that journey out as well. Start with the high volume intents, choose the one that you think might be good for your organisation or business, and start with that as your proof point. Road map the rest. And don't forget those intents, those why are your customers calling, you're going to need those later, and we'll come back to that. Just because you gain efficiencies, it doesn't mean demand will go away. And we've seen this before in the world. So Jon alluded earlier, we brought in email, we brought in chat, so we thought our call volumes are going to die, but they didn't. People keep calling, right? And they just also had new people or other people who also were emailing and chatting. And it's not always because you've got broken journeys or anything like that. It's because you've opened up a new gateway for people to contact you, right? You're now showing up in a space that works for them. You've also got the other one that I really like where we've seen this principle applied is LED lighting, right? LED lighting was going to be so efficient, we could light up our house, it was going to cost a fraction of the cost. And then what we did is we lit up our houses. I have 6 downlights in my lounge because why not? It's cost the same as one light bulb used to, so why wouldn't I? So your customers' demands are going to change even as you adopt AI. You might think that it's going to shrink volume and you're going to be able to automate all these journeys, but it will change. And you need to be cognizant of this while you are working through your AI journeys, that roadmap. You need to keep reviewing and testing.
I kind of look at it as though there's pent-up demand already, right?
Yes.
And so by making your business more accessible, the customers are coming in the channels that are allowed. And that's quite a good thing, to be honest,
Meet your customers
Meet
where
your
they
customer
are.
where
That is
you
another
want
way
them.
you're going to continue to build and maintain that trust with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So we've done some AI policies, we've checked our data, we've got the reasons why they're calling, what we want to automate. Can we build it now?
Close, but we need to look at a bit more, I think.
Okay, all right.
So let's look at the tech. So,
Oh, sorry.
is it good?
Yeah.
So some of the things in the tech these days, you need to look at what you have and what you need. So one of the things to think about is buy versus build. And what we saw early in the hype cycle with AI was larger organizations who had people who were able to, afford it, all those things, built their own. And so they had their own data scientists and engineers, and they built a solution. And it might be something like summarization or one of these types of things. But what we've seen recently is that the big platforms, the contact center platforms, are now going exponentially much quicker. And so some of those businesses that build a summarization type of solution suddenly have that and trying to maintain and govern that. And yet the platform that they might have already had has overleaped them and go further and further on. And so one thing you need to look at in terms of the platform is that, understand what you're on, understand the capability of your platform, understand the roadmap, all our data in. Yes, these big sort of ChatGPT models where we push all our data into it. These big sort of ChatGPT models where we push all our data into it. These big sort of ChatGPT models where we push all our data into it and we give it access to the world and say, okay, talk to the customer. They're the ones that get you in the paper, right? Because you can't possibly govern such a big model really effectively and can't possibly tune that very effectively.
How does the model know what's in what context when? Like, there's a lot of guidance you need to put in there.
So the trend these days is to move to smaller agentic bots that have specific use cases. So you might have a bot that will be your authentication bot because that's its sole little purpose. You might have another bot that does the refunds. Yes. You might have another agentic bot that books a holiday. You might have another agentic bot that does another process. And what we do is we're stringing those bots together. So we do a thing called bot chaining. So what's the advantage of this? Well, the advantage of this is that they're much smaller. They're much better that we can build more specific guardrails around them. So guardrails are about the things a bot can do and can't do and what we allow it to do. And the data that it needs for the function is just specific to what it needs to do. So we're not bringing the company data into this small bot. We're bringing just the information that this guy needs to have. And so that allows that security and that attack vector to be reduced significantly.
Yeah, and it also reduces that hallucination. It's not trying to work through loads and loads of stuff. It knows what its job is and sticks to it like a good agent.
Yeah, exactly. And we're starting to see that not just in a single platform, but with protocols called A2A or agent to agent. And so you'll see that the big vendors like Google and AWS and Microsoft and the contact center vendors are starting to pick up these protocols. And that allows one bot from one platform to call another bot in another platform and continue that journey on. The next thing that I'm going to try and see if it works. There we go. Look at that. So we're also at a point in time where everything is not agentic and everything is not the old technology. And so we talked a little bit about natural language understanding bots when we talked about bots. And these are those deterministic rigid bots that you get into. And so they'll understand an intent and they'll take you through a very structured menu type service. And if you think about something like ordering a pizza as an example, you'll go through and go, I want 3 pizzas, 2 large, 1 small, blah, blah, blah. And sort of an NLU bot can get through that process. Until when we're at, is this pickup delivery, I go, I want more cheese on the second pizza.
And we all do it, right?
We're gone, right? So those rigid deterministic bots totally fall over at that point.
They're like a deer in the headlights. They're like, what? This wasn't in my list of things I could do.
Could you repeat that? So those guys are still here today and doing a reasonable job depending on what use case we have them in. The example I just gave you around the Pizza Hut is a fantastic use case for an agentic bot because it can be conversational, it can go backwards and forwards, you can update things, you can circle back around and around and it'll keep context and understand what's going on. But not all your journeys are like that. When we talked about collecting the intents and looking at the high value ones and the ones that we want to automate, a lot of them we just want to know what do you want, and then we're giving you a path to an agent in the high value ones, or those types of things. So we don't necessarily need an agentic bot for that. We can use an NLU bot to understand the intent and then pass to an agentic bot for a specific self-service journey, or just pass through to an agent. And that, I guess, means that you can start with small use cases, but the other thing about that is it's actually a cost differential as well. an NLU bot is far cheaper than an agentic bot. And that's kind of where we're at today in the market and how it works. As we go forward and further, more and more agentic bots will appear.
The really good thing about the NLU bots is that it also is really good at being really rigid with, like, if you have to give those terms and conditions. It's not going to get a bit free with that and give its own interpretation of those terms and conditions, right? If you've got moments where you really need to be super careful about what you're saying, legal disclaimers, those financial disclaimers, those are really good opportunities to use those NLU bots still. The Agentic AI can still do a bit of freedom, even with the best laid guardrails at the moment. Sometimes it still is a bit loose. So there's moments for it, but it's super good at collecting data and passing through and doing things. But the NLUs still really do have a place at the moment.
Yep.
Jon, what's missing here is that we've talked a lot about the tech and we've talked about, picking your use cases, but do we still need data? There's a lot of talk about data for bots and AI. Do we need it?
Yeah, obviously we do. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Oh, I'm pressing a star button.
There we go.
There's too many buttons. I only need one.
Okay, so we've talked about your contact center having a lot of data that we already have. And the nice thing about that, so that's in terms of the recordings, the transcripts, the customer journeys, the NPS surveys that they might be providing. So there's a lot of information that we already have about a customer. And the great thing about contact center platforms is they're making that data accessible for their bots. And so when we think about, I guess, the data and the agentic models, there's a slight separation. So a contact center in the platforms, they'll run the NLU for you, so you don't, the large language model for you. And so you don't have to worry about that. They'll deliver the high-level guardrails around prompt injection and bias and profanity and all those sorts of things. So now you're starting to just give the data that you need for your use case. And so one of the things that is common or that you want to be able to do is knowledge. So whether that's knowledge that you want to provide to your agents as process or whether that's knowledge that you want to provide as FAQs to your customer. So think about your knowledge, think about what state it's in. If it's ambiguous in any way, you could run into, hallucinations and things like that. Think about the channel you're going to deliver it on. So in digital, it's great because you can deliver a full article, you can deliver an AI highlighted article, you could deliver an agentic answer or a generative answer of a whole lot of articles. But the great thing about digital is you can always provide the source for that. One of the things that you really need to think about is we've got all our use cases, but can we achieve them?
Yes.
If you're doing a self-service journey, you kind of need to know who the person is to be able to serve them. And if you don't have an identification, verification type capability, then you're sort of limited about what you could do. Because if I don't know who you are, how am I going to process a refund for you, right? The other thing is, do I have integrations and data that I might need to pull into that bot from the back end to be able to actually fulfill or find out more information about what we're going to do with that customer? So there's a couple of things we say when we're talking about bots. It's about what the bot knows and what the bot can do. And those things govern whether we can fulfill. What we're seeing now is some new protocols. So I talked about A2A before. There's a new thing called MCP, or Model Context Protocol. And this is a new way that all the big vendors are moving towards. That's sort of a client-server thing. You create this MCP server, or you use a public one that's available, and MCP advertises to our bots, or the bots that are registered to it, its capabilities and what it needs to fulfill. And so by having this consistent model, you can contain the information that you want to send to a bot. And so it's dynamic. So example, I might be booking a holiday and I go through and I tell this MCP server what I need, and I'm booking these dates and I'm going to Rarotonga. And then the customer says,
What's the weather like in Rarotonga when I land in a couple of days?
well, I haven't got an API for that, but luckily, I have an MCP server connected to the public weather. And because my bot knows that, it will say, it's great, it's 25 degrees, you can have a great time. So you'll see that we're going to see more and more of this rolling out across all the different platforms, and it's a way to control your data.
So, we've covered a lot. So you've got, you've checked policies data, we've got a use case, we've got some tech to do it, and we know what data we need. So a tech team can start building now, right? We can hand that over to the tech team?
Yeah, of course we can.
They have your brand in mind when they build everything, especially from conversational perspectives, don't they? No, you can't just hand it over at this point. So, where's your brand in all of this messaging? We've talked a lot about the use cases and the tech and the data and stuff, but your marketing teams, your company have spent years curating your brand. You've spent years building that trust. People are with your organization or your company because they trust in your brand. So where is that in all of this? And we're using generative AI, and everyone's using the same generative AI. There's large language models everywhere, but they're not looking at your brand when they're building that. They're just going to do it conversationally, which is great. But how do you bring your brand to your CX with conversation? Well, you bring in conversation design. And this is where your tech and your brand are going to converge in any of the automation that you do. So the conversation design has got a big all-encompassing there's a huge process behind it. And we're just going to cover 2 key points today to help you understand how you can remember to bring that brand and trust in. So the first one is persona. So persona is an overarching concept for your bot. It's giving your bot a persona of what it feels like, what it talks like, what kind of person it is. And this is something that you're going to use with your branding in mind. Your marketing team will have this on point. You don't have to go looking for this usually. Someone's already done a lot of lifting. Talk to them. They love it. I said this to my marketing lady yesterday, and she was like, oh my God, I feel so seen. They are ready for you to contact them. The other thing behind this is it's going to give them that feel, that tone, that warmth that you need to bring, especially when you're thinking about those little use cases along the way. If you're building an automation bot for authentication, and then someone else is building a bot that might be to gather information about what pizza order you want, and someone's doing the delivery and gathering, the technical details, the correct details to post your pizzas, to deliver your pizzas, if you've got different teams or your teams change over time, how have they got that overarching brand on all of those bots? If you don't do this, it will sound clunky and disconnected. Your bots are going to sound a bit off. They're going to be slightly different. Your customers aren't going to know why. They're just going to know it's not right. And this is where you start eroding trust in the really small moments. So use a persona to overarch and guide any of the bot building that you do. The other one is a design canvas. And this is where you are going to do things like guardrails around what your bots can and can't do around each use case. So this is things where you're going to personalize and hone in on the empathy and the use case for each of your customers. So this is something that we are going to cover. I should mention, we're going to cover this tomorrow in our workshop. And we're going to actually walk you through some of these 2 concepts because they are really important in the world of automation and making sure you're keeping your brand tone and everything.
Yeah. The design canvas basically sets the scene for that customer journey. So if we thought about the fraud case,
yes,
right,
yeah,
as an example, we're asking, where's the customer calling from? What's their demeanor? They're freaked out. What are the things that they're really worried about? What do they need to do? So you're bringing all those types of things into that design, that soft design for the conversation. Absolutely. To be able to understand then how you treat that customer. Because you don't want to treat customers the same in every situation.
No, definitely not. And there are definitely, your customers are all different, and we cover that as well. But we're not today because there's a lot to it. But the honing in on the separate use cases really helps you understand and empathize and build with those moments with trust, right? So it's really going to help you keep your customers using your bot, it's going to flow, it's going to feel right, it's going to feel a lot more naturally human-like, and not in a weird way either, but that's all covered in conversation design as well. Anyway, so do get along to that workshop tomorrow if you do have time, but so now that we've done this, and now that we've got our brand, we've using the trust we've already built, we've got our AI data policies, we've got our intents, we've done some mapping. Can we build our bot now, Jon?
Well, I can't think of anything else to stop us, so yeah,
So we can
I
do
think
it?
we're there.
Yeah. Oh my God, aren't we glad we're there?
Sorry, that was a long-winded way to get to building something. Like the tech people we love, we just want to start. But obviously, if you wanted to make it really something that your customer wants to use, you need to think about all these things.
Yes.
So let's just think about how we're going to do that. And obviously the tech teams, we're not going to talk about the tech, they'll deliver, you know they will. They'll go through and, do whatever it is, whether it's your in-house people, whether it's your partners. But here are just some tips to think about when you're rolling out. So the first thing is, we talked about that price irritation model, and we talked about mining all the intents and understanding which were the high value and which weren't and everything else. So the first thing is, make sure you handle all intents. You don't want an experience where you dial in and the customer comes in and says, dial 1 for sales, dial 2 for my agentic refund process, and dial 3 for everything else, right?
Weird, it's clunky.
It's not a great experience. No. So what you want to do is, when the customer calls in, welcome to company ABC, how can I help you today?
Yes.
Right? And then our silly little NLU bot, when they say what they want, will decide whether it's going to go to an agentic bot or it's going to pass it through to a team. And even just getting all your intents in place and routing to the right team can give you amazing returns, because you get first call resolution, you get into the right team straight away. So that's the first step. Make sure you handle everything.
Part of the simplify as well. Make it easy for your customer to do what they need to do with you for some of those, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Next little tip, don't let your test team do the testing, or your build team. They kind of know how to game the system. They've built it. They know exactly what it says, and funny enough, it works every single time for them. So when you're at the point and you've gone through your SIT testing and you're ready to, test that customer experience, bring in people in your business that may be not related, or even better, bring in some of your customers to test. Because it's amazing how they ask for things compared to how you ask as part of the business. And so, think about that. Think about how you might, once you get beyond that, how you might carry on building that out. So you'll do that, you'll do some testing.
Yeah, you got it.
Can you give me a click, please?
Get it to production, you got some people, now we're back. Oh no, we gave it up. There we go.
There you go. So obviously you're continuously tuning and monitoring. So as the project team rolls something out, you might start to then deliver it to a small portion of your customers, see how that works, keep rolling it out a little bit more. We've tuned it a bit more. Okay, let's go a little bit more until you've got it, flowing with all your customers. It's looking good. Your NPS is still holding or even getting better.
Yeah.
And you're going, great, the project's done. We're on to our next use case. We can iterate the next one that we had. And we're done.
We're done. But we're not.
Oh.
Right? So a bot is not just for Christmas. It's for life. And I've said it different, but you get it. You cannot just put a bot in place of any kind, agentic or not, and leave it. It needs watering, it needs feeding, it needs care. As much as these are going to automate and make our lives easier, you still have a responsibility to look after it. You do need to feed and water it. You need to tune it. You need to make sure that it's still relevant. Is it still delivering the content that your customers want, that meet your business and stakeholder needs? Are you still getting that ROI from it? Because if you're not monitoring and tuning and tweaking and looking for these things, it's going to become redundant. Your customers are going to stop using it. They might use it for 3 months, but eventually they will stop. And we see this time and time again in our customers' channels where they deploy a bot and haven't got that roadmap out for even including revision, refining, keeping in check.
Yeah.
So make sure you're doing things to quality control it as well. We talked a bit about quality control and some of the tools coming. There's a lot of automation for agents. Use some of those principles to any of the automation that you deploy. Are you quality controlling it? You don't put an agent out on a floor and let them go. You check in on them. You see how they're going. You listen to their calls. You check if they're doing the right things. Make sure you apply those same principles that you use in customer experience to automation, okay? If you don't, it's not going to feel good and people will stop using it.
You need to treat your bots just like your people.
Absolutely.
So they're your virtual agents rather than your human agents.
Yeah, they're a member of your team. So we've covered a lot today, but the really key message that we want to leave you with is that the future of your technology and the customer experience isn't just technology. It's about building with trust, and it's with thoughtful design, continuous improvement that this will happen. So start small, build with intent and purpose, and let people guide your journey. Thank you.
Thank you.